welcome to Sweet Home California. My name is Jennifer, and today I'm introducing you to Nina from Southern Digest. I interviewed her on my Rainbows and Silver Linings show, which premieres on This Way Network the Tuesday before it shows up on Sweet Home California. So after this video, which I hope you'll watch the whole thing, stick around and I'll have the link in the description down below to this week's episode, which I am interviewing Jerome Davison, who is a candidate for Congress District 4 in Arizona. Thank you for watching. Hello and welcome to Rainbows and Silver Linings. My name is Jennifer, and today I've got a kindred spirit with me, Nina from Southern Digest, and she is also the host of Sweet Home here on This Way Network. And without further ado, let me go ahead and bring her in. Hello, Nina. How are you?
Hey, Jen. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I can hear you fine. I trust you hear me. I got the little red ticker saying that we are recording. So hopefully we don't have any gremlins in this production. But today I wanted to talk to you about basically like freedom of speech. You've been talking about New York Bill A416. California has something similar called AB 2098. And before I let you talk, I want to share with you real quick just how this kind of talking to you earlier about making sure that everything was correct and that we were recording and all, because I did a wonderful 25-minute video talking all about California Bill AB 2098, which is about basically being able to share your opinion and discussions on certain things. Well, I went to go and load it up, and I normally I want to listen to it, make sure the sound was still right and everything. No sound. 25 minutes, no sound. And I had just done a video before that went perfectly fine. So it's like, you know, powers and principalities are like against this whole thing about freedom of speech and everything. So hopefully I was just so discouraged after that. I didn't re-record it, but I need to do that because you were telling about New York Bill A416. I'll let you talk about that now. Sorry.
Well, in that bill, they were going to make it basically illegal to go against anything that the governor felt was approved in the as far as health was concerned.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about legal experts or anything. We're talking about the governor's opinion on what is a health threat and what isn't. So, and in that particular bill, the governor was going to be allowed, if they considered someone a health threat, to detain them literally indefinitely until they complied so that they were no longer a health threat.
Oh my goodness. So we're not even talking about a censorship on their medical board or something. Was this like anybody that might have a disagreement with the governor?
Yeah, and they didn't even have to know the governor. They didn't even have to be vocal about it. If someone came to the governor and said, "Hey, we think that person over there is a health threat," if the governor shared that opinion, the governor had the right to detain them and require them to get treatment according to the governor's opinion, or stay detained until the governor considers them no longer health threat. Now, there are some checks and balances in there.
Okay.
The governor is going to have to continually go back to the court and, well, it didn't even say show evidence of why they were a health threat. It was just the governor giving his or her opinion we still consider this person a health threat.
Okay. Now, in watching one of your videos on that, it was my understanding that it was more of like an informational thing. But are you saying that they had to have maybe some sort of contagious disease that they were a health threat, or is this just in speaking that they became a health threat because of opinions being infectious?
Became a health threat because of opinions. In other words, you didn't even have to be infectious with anything. But if
Okay.
you had not gotten what the government considered appropriate treatment
Mhm.
so that you would not become infectious, in their opinion,
Mhm.
then you could be detained
Right.
indefinitely. Now, initially it said, I think you could be detained for 90 days, which is 3 months. That's a long time. But
That
then
is.
they can go to court and say, we still feel this person is a health threat, and therefore we want them detained. And they could keep you detained until you complied with whatever treatment they felt like was
Now,
necessary.
was this going to be in some centralized area that maybe they could have, group therapy sessions with others and, re-education, or was this
Well,
was
yeah,
it
that's
fleshed
an
out that
interesting
much?
question. Well, it was fleshed out enough to say that the governor could choose where the detention would take place. So
Mhm.
it could be at a health facility, it could be at some other detention facility.
Mhm. It rather
Theoretically, it could be house arrest. It could be in their own home, but the governor had the legal authority, according to this bill, to choose where they spent the detention
oh my goodness. So,
and with whom, and whether or not they were allowed to talk to anyone. In other words, they could be kept in solitary confinement if the
without
governor so
internet,
chose, or
cell
without
phone,
internet, yeah.
landline.
Or the governor could simply say they're not allowed to speak with their family while they're detained.
Wow. Wow.
That was in the bill.
You know, it might have been cheaper for them not to reinvent the wheel and just go ahead and ship them to Siberia or to the Uyghur province in China.
I
Yeah,
guess we don't have a place like that in this country
I hope
yet.
not. Well, maybe Guantanamo. I don't know, but I think even they have rights over
Mm,
there that they're able to see their lawyers and things. So,
yeah.
but there was some good news in that though, because you had recently did another video, and what is going on with that right now?
Well, the bill became, I'm trying to remember what the word was, and I can't remember it, but the sponsor of the bill withdrew their sponsorship. So
Hmm.
it is still there. It's not like it's been taken out of action completely. Any other sponsor can come along and say, hey, I want to pick up this bill and
Hmm.
sponsor it and take it through the proper procedures till it becomes law.
Hmm.
So the bill itself wasn't withdrawn, just the sponsorship was withdrawn. So it's
Yeah.
still there and someone else could pick it up.
Now, yeah, you were talking about the history of it, that there had been something similar that had been introduced many years ago, and then it got dropped, and then again, and then again. Now,
Hmm.
are they able to change things and like use that title as like an umbrella, but then kind of change the guts within it?
Well,
Because
I mean,
obviously, what we're
they
talking
can
about
make,
yeah, what we were talking about right now obviously wasn't um,
mhm,
top of mind, 4 or 5 years ago.
right, right. And yet somebody conceived of this 4 or 5 years ago.
Wow.
So the the basis of the bill was there, I think, as early as, and now I can't remember that either. Sorry, folks, I'm old.
I- Yeah, I think
Um,
you were saying like
20,
2016.
yeah, I was going to say 2016, 2017, somewhere
Yeah.
in there. The basis for the bill was already there. Whether or not amendments, I think there was one amendment made to it during that time, but it was introduced in 2017, again in, let's see, or was it 2016, again in 2018, again in 2020, and then again in January of this year.
Mhm.
And so, you know, that means
Yeah.
there's enough people looking at it. And each time, I think what happened to it was whoever was sponsoring it withdrew
Mhm.
eventually. So, but
Because
that makes it very easy.
hopefully it's because people started realizing, hey, this is going through. We need to fight, kind of push back on it.
Right.
Yeah, and
I would
that's
like to think that's what's happening. But
yeah.
what I find a lot of the time is that a lot of people have convictions for which they expect others to supply the courage. So they may look at something and say, oh, we don't like that. That's terrible. I hope someone speaks up about it, but
Yeah.
they're not going to.
Yeah.
So I am so thankful we do have, this is still the land of the free and the home of the brave,
Hmm.
because we still have some brave people who are willing to speak up and say something, call their local officials, write them, email them, do whatever it takes, because once they hear enough, that's why this sponsorship was dropped,
Hmm.
was because it became clear there is not enough support for this.
That is wonderful news, Nina. I really appreciate you sharing that, because that is an example of where the people speaking up again, yeah, it might have had to been for the fourth
Mm-hmm.
time. It hasn't, it's not completely dead
Yeah,
yet, but
yeah.
we just have to, yeah, you have to continue to pay attention. But something similar is going through in California, and that's
Mm-hmm.
called AB Bill 2098. And I only found out about it. I'm here in California. I pay attention to what the local news is reporting on and all, and I didn't see any of this until the People's Convoy all the way in DC said, "Hey, there's like these 10 bills in California. We kind of That's kind of gotten now top of mind for them, that yeah, they still want to do away with the national mandates and things
Mm-hmm.
like that, but those are laws that were already in place. When they became aware
Mm-hmm.
of these 10 particular bills, including this AB 2098, they're like, well,
Mm-hmm.
this is something that we need to address right now and bring attention to, shine the light of day on, because
Mm-hmm.
if not, can't things in California don't stay here. They become like a
Mm-hmm.
cancer and just go all over the place. What stays
Yeah,
in
spread to the
California,
rest of the country.
yeah, it
Mm-hmm.
goes all over the place. So I'm really glad. If it weren't for them making note of this, I wouldn't have known about it. And they've already had at least 2 wins that
Wow.
that California has dropped. One of them was mandatory inoculations for all employees and subcontractors in California. That got
Mm-hmm.
dropped even before they left DC, but they had made the announcement. So I know there are people who will say, well, that had nothing to do with the People's Convoy. They just decided to change. And then there was another one that they dropped, and I can't recall off the top of my head what one that was, but the AB 2098, unfortunately, is still scheduled for a hearing on April 19th. And in essence, what that is talking about is this is the freedom of speech, but it's
Mm-hmm.
more narrowly tailored. So it's not everybody like in New York. This is just what doctors' opinions are. So if a doctor or a
Mm-hmm.
health professional wants to share an opinion that differs from the powers that be, then they can be censored using the medical board.
See,
So,
that is very scary. That means there is no room for disagreement, for debate on
mhm,
something. And essentially, what it means is that one side is going to push through their ideas, but
right,
everything gets
yeah,
very tilted as far as the public thinking and so forth. When you've only
mhm,
got one side, people aren't considering the unintended consequences of that behavior, because no one's allowed to say what those unintended consequences may be.
right, exactly. And then you're not made aware of it. There was
Mm-hmm.
I say study that was put out last week or the week before, where the headline read, Fox viewers are less likely to believe lies after being paid to watch CNN for 30 days.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So I had to
And
click
true.
on that. I had to click on that, and I'm like, oh my goodness, what is this? This is from rawstory.com, which is, of course,
Uh-huh.
not a bastion of conservative thought. But it
Right.
says, they frame it in such a way, it says, groundbreaking new study that paid viewers of Fox News to watch CNN for 30 days. They got paid $15 an hour. And
Ooh.
yeah. And they found that their views changed over the course of those 30 days. That Fox viewers that were watching CNN then became more progressive
Mm-hmm.
and open-minded and more critical of Trump and more
Mm-hmm.
accepting of um, certain narratives. after watching
Mhm.
CNN than
Mhm.
with Fox. Now, it's not exactly a scientific study because, of course, there's no control. There's no doing this the opposite way of taking
Mhm.
CNN viewers and having them watch Fox. I really would have loved to have known how that would have turned out. For those of you that are
You know,
watching, please comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are on that.
I wonder if they tried, but they couldn't find any CNN viewers who were willing to watch Fox, not even for $15 an hour.
That's interesting. That's an interesting view.
I'm just saying there's so much vitriol
Hmm.
there, and a lot of people on their moral high horse
Hmm.
that and I can think of a few people in particular that I know who would not watch Fox for any amount of money
Hmm.
because they feel like Fox is of the devil.
Yeah. Now, I do have a couple of relatives that claim that they do watch Fox that are absolutely on board with the leftist agenda. I'm not even going to say liberal. I've said liberal before, but
Mhm.
really that does a disservice to liberals because the traditional term of liberal, of course, is that it's live and let live sort of thing, and that is anything but what's
Yeah,
going on with
not
today's.
what they are now.
No,
Mm-mm.
it's not at all, and so we need to name things appropriately and not use the words that they might want to use. But
Right.
oh my goodness, but
And that's the whole reason behind that great movement away from the Democratic Party.
mm,
What was that called? I don't even know if I'm supposed to say his name on YouTube or not, but um, he walked away, the walkaway movement. He walked
okay.
away from the, and over, when you listen to the testimonies of people who walked away from the
Mm-hmm.
Democratic Party, to a person almost, they say, you know, I thought this was the party that believed these things that I believed. And
Mm-hmm.
then I eventually came to realize that they had already left me. They don't believe those things anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But I still do.
Right.
So what I believe wasn't consistent with what they believe now. So I ended up having to walk away. They didn't even know where they were going
Mm-hmm.
after that. And some
Yeah.
of them haven't landed any place. They just know they can't abide by what is being pushed on that side now.
Yeah. Well, Dave Rubin used to be, consider himself a Democrat and a
Mm-hmm.
liberal, and yeah, he feels like the Democrat Party, left him. Um,
Right.
I think Bill Maher is coming to that
Mm-hmm.
conclusion
Mm-hmm.
that the party has kind of left him behind. He
Yeah.
apparently has he had Dennis Prager on his show the other day,
Oh.
and
Oh.
Dennis Prager was saying that you can't say that one particular gender can't do what another particular gender can do. And I'm being cryptic on here because we're on YouTube, of course, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when the rules are going to change on that. But if you
Mm-hmm.
Bill was like, no, that's not possible. They don't do that. They don't tell you that white is black and black is white. No, you know. Um, but
Yeah,
yes,
they do.
they do.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think the defining moment for me was when, we saw a CNN, I think it was CNN, it may have been MSNBC, reporters standing in front of the burning buildings in the riots of that summer and, and declared to us,
Mostly peaceful.
this is a mostly peaceful protest.
Hmm.
I thought, do you not see the disconnect? And do you really think that we're going to believe there's a
Hmm.
building burning in the background behind you and knowing they set it on fire and you're telling us it's mostly peaceful? And that
Right.
was when I first began to realize they're literally taking things that everyone has always known one way and telling you it's not that way. It's called
Hmm.
gaslighting.
Yes. Yes. But I want to bring it back to like the rainbows and silver linings theme on this, and that is
Mm-hmm.
I think it's encouraging more independent people to stand up and start talking. They have had these
Yeah.
collages of narratives when you have like local ABC, Fox, CBS, which are supposed to be competitors, on the local level and on the national level, they had them reading off the same script. There's a collage of it
Mm-hmm.
somewhere. I'll have to find it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was crazy. It's like all these competitors are saying the same thing. This is not
Yep.
competition. You're
Yep.
not getting different points of view at all anymore. But when you stand up and I stand up, and there's a trucker called Sasnak that stands up, and he starts recording, live streaming hours at a
Mm-hmm.
time. He doesn't have time to edit any of this stuff, and you see things for your own, on your own,
Right.
and you get to know these individual independent
Mm-hmm.
reporters, basically. Then
Mm-hmm.
you get that trust again that I think a lot of people have lost with
Yeah.
the national news. And so that's
Yeah.
the good thing.
I
I
think
think
you're
that,
right about that. Mm-hmm.
yeah, more
And
people getting involved,
actually,
more voices.
as much as we don't like the censorship here, YouTube has contributed
Hmm.
to a lot of that information getting out, because there are people who are realizing, hey, I can take a video with my phone and send that out. It will go viral, and people will have the real information instead of what they're being told about
Right.
it.
Yeah. Did you see
Yeah.
the video that was made by I think it's the Daily Wire CEO, Jeremy's razors?
No, I don't think I have.
Okay. Have you heard of Harry's Razors? It's a subscription service that you buy razors through the mail. They send them to you every
Yeah.
month. Okay. Well, they had
Hmm.
been advertising with the Daily Wire, which of course is a
Hmm.
conservative news group with Ben Shapiro and Michael Knowles
Right.
and those sort of
Right.
people. So um, they had years long relationship with them. They also advertised on the
Hmm.
Rush Limbaugh show, back when Rush was around. Well, one of the Daily Wire people commented that men are men and women are women, sort of thing, and a 14-year-old boy tweets over to the Harry's Razor saying, "Are you going to associate yourself with this kind of hatred and bigotry?" And so they like, no, no, we shouldn't do that. So they
Wow.
didn't just remove their advertising. They made a big grandstanding about it, saying that we don't support this and this is terrible. And those are bigoted, hateful views that should not be held by anybody. And then they left. So the people over at Daily Wire, they decided, well, you know what? We're just going to make our own razor company. So
I
there's no,
love it.
you can't boycott these people anymore because they know you need
Hmm.
razors. And what other razor
Right.
company are you going to go to? Gillette had already done the woke commercials about
Right.
using razors, and
Yeah.
women use razors too, but it's just a matter of how they're presenting it.
Hmm.
So anyhow, it's a wonderful video. You got to search it out. It's definitely anti-woke and it's awesome. But it's the point of the matter is that we gotta make our own platforms. We got to make our own products. And
Hmm.
because boycotts don't work, they know we have to eventually get that from somewhere. And if all the companies that are out there believe in a certain way, we're going to have to break down. But if conservatives
Yes.
have their own, then they really will lose money. They'll have to change. They'll have to just become politically neutral again.
Yes.
Let me have my cup of
Yeah.
coffee. Let me get my razors. Let me buy, go to the movies. But yeah, it's
Well, I think we're already starting to see some of that shift, because CNN's viewership has dropped 90%.
yes. Oh my goodness, it's
That
that
is
much.
huge. Yes, it's that much.
Well, I heard that they were offering like 50% off a lifetime membership on their CNN online service
Wonder
because
why.
so it was the response to it has been so underwhelming that apparently hundreds of people over at CNN are
Hmm.
going to be fired. But
Hmm.
and I think that's
Yeah.
what's going to cause change. And Elon Musk, buying so much
Hmm.
Twitter stock. Um,
Yes. And did you see where he has decided not to sit on Twitter's board, because that would keep him from buying more stock in the
yeah,
company? So, yeah.
yeah. I did a quick video on that right before starting this, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. So they're not going to be able to muzzle him. So again, more free speech.
Right.
He's not on the board. He
Right.
can talk about Twitter. He can buy more Twitter. Um, so
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
but that's
You know,
interesting because
I had and I had mentioned this to you before the show started, but I wanted to make sure everybody else heard about this too. There was a man down in Florida who he had been taking his family to Disney for years.
mhm,
And they always loved Disney, but he said through the years, we had begun to notice while we were in the park some changes that
mhm,
we weren't real happy with. But, they're little changes and little by little, but it starts to add up. And finally, their recent push for what the left is calling the "Don't Say Gay," which it
mhm,
doesn't say that at all, but they're calling it the "Don't Say Gay" law.
mhm,
Um, when Disney came out against that and said, "Oh no, we don't support that at all." Apparently, a lot of the Disney employees weren't too happy, but nobody consulted them, and they didn't like having the company purport to speak for them.
mhm.
So this man didn't like it either, and he said that was the last straw. His family already had tickets. He said he tried to call and turn his tickets back in, cancel the trip. But he said 2 times he was left on hold for 20 minutes when he told them what he wanted to do. And no one ever came back on the phone. So they decided to go ahead and go. But instead, he made himself a t shirt. And the t shirt on the front, and he did this just with a white t shirt and a Sharpie marker, but it said Walt, not woke.
Uh-huh.
And on the back, it said, welcome, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, because of course Disney had come out and said, we're not going to use that sexist language anymore. We won't be saying that in our programs.
Mhm,
So he put that on there and they went to the park.
mhm.
And according to him and some witnesses who were with him, every comment he got, and he got lots of comments, was
I can
all
imagine.
positive.
That's
Yeah,
what I wanted to
even
know.
Disney employees, yes, even Disney employees, many people wanted to take their picture with him and said, "Oh, I've got to show this to somebody. That's just great." Employees really liked it, and at one place where he went to get his family some food, he started to hand them his cash to pay for the food, and the person behind the cash register said, "It's on Mickey today. We like your shirt."
I hope
Yeah,
that wasn't on video anywhere. I'd hate for that person to lose their job over
I
that
don't want them
moment.
to either. So that's part of the reason I didn't say where, because I don't want that getting out. But yeah, he said to a person, all the feedback was very positive. And I'm thinking he needs to start a t-shirt company because he could put that on there, and I think that would go
Absolutely, absolutely. Well,
viral for
and
sure.
yeah, so it is discouraging when we have these big mega corporations that are trying to tamp us down. But America has been
Hmm.
built on the individual standing up and taking charge of their own future, and we need to
Yeah.
continue this. And I think we are, with the YouTube and the Rumble and the Getter, and we just need to continue to support
Yeah.
all these independent journalists and build those relationships and be able to trust an individual and not these
Hmm.
corporations. So
Right.
that's
Right.
I know that when you report, you include links so that people can see for themselves, the truth of
Hmm.
the matter. I try and do that too, especially if I
Yeah.
know it's a controversial issue. I'll do one from the right side, one from the left side. Um,
Hmm.
but I think it's really important that people
Yeah, I
get
actually
involved.
had someone tell me this week, they said, I've watched your stuff and I've noticed that you try not to give an opinion. You just
Hmm.
present the information and then you present the link where you got it so they can go see it in context. And that's what I want people to do. I want them to make up their own minds.
Hmm.
But the person who contacted me said, I think we would like it more if you did give us your opinion
Hmm.
because that's what we want to hear. We want to know what your opinion is. I think you probably know my opinion just by what I choose to,
To highlight
bring to your
what
attention.
you
Yeah,
shine the light on, yes. Yeah, because
right.
these bills in California, for instance, they don't want the light of day
Mm.
on this.
Exactly.
Well, we're right near the end of our broadcast in any case, so I just want to sum up here. Nina, I really appreciate you coming on the show today. Um, I'm actually not surprised that the broadcast ends with a technical glitch on an episode where we're talking about free speech and saying things that the powers that be would probably not have us talk about. So I think that's really appropriate that we end on the glitch here. But anyhow, we just need to continue seeing the bright side of things, speaking up, and know that, like in the case of that gentleman that was wearing the shirt that was against what the big corporation wanted, everybody around him was giving him positive feedback. And that's what I've gotten to as being a conservative on YouTube, that even though YouTube is supposed to be a bastion of leftism, um, I've gotten 99.9% of the feedback I've gotten has been positive. So if you are feeling it within yourself that you should voice, put out your voice, please follow that and do that and stand up, and you won't be sorry that you did. Anyhow, God bless. I really appreciate you all watching today, and I will talk to you next time. Bye. Thanks so much for watching my episode with Nina over at Southern Digest. Her links will be down below. Now, please also click on the link below to watch Jerome Davison, who is a former NFL running back, pastor, and author, and now he is running for Congress in Arizona's District 4. We talk about politics and God and faith, and I hope you will join me over there. God bless. Bye.